I definitely was good to be home with my family. It's probably like 20 people in my family. So it was just good to be home.
The drama surrounding Emoni Bates begins with a legend in the making, a boy, barely 15 years old, yet hailed as the second coming of LeBron James. At just 16, he was dominating players too, even 3 years older, and still making it look effortless. He wasn't just the top player in his high school class, he was the top player in the country regardless of age. Sports Illustrated, a publication known for shaping sports icons before they ever stepped on a professional court, placed him on the cover and dubbed him the greatest high school player since LeBron. It was a prophecy in print. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and then Emoni Bates. But this story isn't about a fulfilled prophecy. It's about what happens when the prodigy isn't nurtured, when the machine of modern basketball chews up a kid and spits out a grown man trying to pick up the pieces. Because as of now, Emoni Bates, once projected to go number 1 in the 2023 NBA draftees, fighting for minutes on a two-way contract, barely clinging to the fringes of the NBA. How did it go from anointing to abandonment? From legend to afterthought? This is the heartbreaking, turbulent journey of a young man whose light was so blinding early on that the world forgot he was still just a kid. Back in 2020, if the NBA's eligibility rules allowed players to go straight from high school to the league, scouts almost unanimously agreed Emoni would have gone number 1. That meant ahead of LaMelo Ball, ahead of Anthony Edwards, ahead of the guys who are now stars. And he was still a sophomore. One respected scouting outlet went as far as to predict, in their wait too early mock draft, that the 2023 NBA draft would be the most stacked in recent memory. Why? Because they assumed players like Emoni would jump straight to the league. Jabari Smith Jr. was slotted 11th, Chet Holmgren 6th, Paolo Banchero 3rd. Victor Wembanyama was number 2, and standing above them all at number 1, Emoni Bates. That was the gravity of the moment. The belief that we were witnessing not just a great high school player, but a generational one, a unicorn, someone whose name would one day be etched alongside the greatest to ever do it. But names are fragile. They can be built with banners and headlines, and just as quickly destroyed with whispers and doubt. From 7th grade, the legend of Emoni was building. He averaged 46 points per game against his peers and then went toe-to-toe with elite talent in the EYBL circuit before he even stepped into high school. He wasn't just dominating kids his age, he was giving buckets to future pros. His freshman year, a casual 32 points and 15 rebounds in his high school debut. He led his team to regional and state titles. He hit game winners. He won awards. Gatorade Player of the Year in Michigan, Max Prep's National Freshman of the Year. And all the while, he did it with a grace and confidence that only added to the mythology. It all crescendoed after Kobe Bryant's tragic death. As a tribute, Emoni switched his number to 24. He initially thought about scoring 24 points in a game, but that was too easy. Instead, he dropped 42. Then came a 63-point masterpiece. He ended that season averaging over 32 points a game on efficient shooting splits above 50% from the field, nearly 40% from 3. And he wasn't even old enough to drive. That's when ESPN released a ranking of the best high school players. Since LeBron, Kevin Durant topped the list. Greg Oden was second. Then, tied for third, Derrick Rose, Anthony Davis, and Emoni Bates. Every name on that list either became a number 1 pick or a franchise cornerstone. Emoni still had 2 years left in high school. The implication was clear: if he stayed on this path, he would be the number 1 player of the post-LeBron era. He transferred to a prep school for his junior year and opened the season against Chet Holmgren, the top player in the class above him. Emoni dropped 36 in that game. The buzz was still deafening. But slowly, murmurs began creeping into the conversation. Scouts started to whisper about a plateau. Was he actually improving? Or had he simply peaked too early? The game that once looked effortless now seemed a bit forced. Still good but no longer godlike. So Emoni made a bold decision. He reclassified to the 2021 class, skipping his senior year. He wanted to test himself at the next level. At just 17, he entered college basketball as one of the youngest players in the country. But instead of joining Michigan or Michigan State, schools that had been pursuing him for years, he surprised many by choosing Memphis under Penny Hardaway. It was a big move, one meant to accelerate his path to the league. But it did the opposite. In his debut, Emoni flashed the old brilliance, points on 6 of -9 shooting. But that was the high point. He never scored more than 17 again that season. His minutes decreased, his efficiency cratered. In his next 13 games, he averaged just 9 points on dreadful splits, 35% from the field, 27% from 3. Once considered the next Kevin Durant, he was now being labeled a volume shooter without a conscience. He wasn't just off draft boards, he was off the radar. By the end of his freshman season, the luster was gone. The whispers had grown into narratives, and then came the arrest. Back home in Michigan, Emoni was pulled over. A firearm was found in his car. Headlines exploded. Though he would later accept a plea deal and avoid jail time, the damage was already done. His name was now associated with scandal, and in a league that judges character as much as talent, that was a scarlet letter. Still, Emoni returned to the court, this time for Eastern Michigan, a far cry from the glitz of Memphis, but a chance to reset. And in his debut, he reminded everyone of the kid on the magazine cover. He scored 30, then 43, then 36. His sophomore season was a renaissance of sorts: 9 points per game, decent shooting numbers, and flashes of the transcendent scorer he once was. It wasn't enough to make him a lottery pick again, but it got him back on the radar. Then came the 2023 NBA Draft. Emoni Bates, once considered the best high school prospect in the world, waded through pick after pick. Finally, with the 49th selection, the Cleveland Cavaliers called his name. It wasn't the grand coronation everyone had expected, but it was a lifeline. The NBA door hadn't shut completely. Summer League arrived, and Emoni lit it up. He dropped 18 in his debut, then 21, then 20. In the championship game, he put up 1954 and helped lead the Cavaliers to the Summer League title. He made the All-Summer League second team. For a moment, it felt like the story was back on track. But summer is not the NBA. The Cavaliers had no room for experiments. They were competing for the top seed in the East. Emoni was signed to a two-way contract, buried behind established players like Max Struss and Isaac Okoro. He barely played. In 15 games, he averaged just under 3 points in 8 minutes a night. The opportunities were limited, and he failed to seize them when they came. In the G League, however, Emoni returned to form. He averaged over 21 points per game, had multiple 30-point outings, and even dropped 38 in a game against the Santa Cruz Warriors. But it's the G League. Scouts and executives don't value numbers there the way they do in the NBA. And Emoni knew it. He returned to Summer League again in 2024, hoping to make a statement. He opened with 20 points against Orlando, followed that with 18 against Milwaukee, and even went head-to-head with LeBron James. The performances were solid. Not spectacular, not MVP caliber, and that's what hurt him. Everyone expected him to dominate. He didn't, and the Cavs, already overloaded with wing talent, were under no pressure to make room for him. The preseason came and went. Emoni had moments, step-back threes, flashes of the old confidence, but it wasn't enough. His NBA minutes this season have been sparse single-digit stints, rarely exceeding 5 minutes. The majority of his season has once again been spent in the G League, where his numbers are slightly down from the year before. And so here we are, a once-generational prospect, now 21 years old, teetering between irrelevance and redemption. Emoni Bates still has fans. He still has believers, but he's running out of time. His skill set, fluid shooting, deep range, instinctive scoring, can't be taught. But the NBA is a machine. And if you don't fit the mold, if you can't defend, can't rebound, can't adapt to a role, you're pushed out. What makes Emoni's story so difficult is that he was never built to fit in. He was wired to stand out, and that's the paradox. Teams expect second-round picks to adjust. Emoni was told since age 13 that he would lead franchises, not ride the bench. The NBA doesn't have the patience for slow blooms anymore. You either shine immediately, or you risk getting lost in the dark. But Emoni hasn't given up. He's added weight, worked on his game, kept his confidence. His pinned tweet is a declaration to the world. Shocked the world once, I'll do it again. He still believes, and so do those who remember what he once was. Still, the reality looms. If he doesn't break through soon, Emoni Bates may go down as the greatest high school basketball player to never make it in the NBA. A cautionary tale, not of failure, but of expectations, impatience, and a system that devours its young. If you made it this far, we want to hear from you. Do you think Emoni Bates still has a future in the NBA? Was he a victim of his own hype or just stuck in the wrong situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story grabbed you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive like this one.